Society is on the verge of a collapse. Now, today we're going to address what that means because this is the warning that we have to choose. The U.S. has to choose what we do moving forward. We are taking too long and it's hurting many, many people. I'm going to address what's going on here, but according to experts, time is running out. So, we're going to get through this. I'm going to explain what's going on. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So the first thing that you need to understand is that Israel is ramping up these attacks on Gaza, and the United States is highly concerned. We are concerned because people have nowhere to go. Food is running out, water is running out, medical supplies are all running out. But the time that the United States has to pass any legislation to provide additional assistance to Israel or to Gaza, that time is running out as well. We have 1 week. Yeah, just 1 week. Now, I want to show you something. It says right here, with the vast majority of Gazans now displaced and unable to access any aid, hospitals overrun and food running out, the main UN agency there said society was on the verge of a full-blown collapse. Now, here in the United States, we get food, we have water, there's little food banks here and there that we can go to if we need some additional help. In other countries, they don't necessarily have that. That's a problem. But here's why the United States is in a very delicate situation. We have to choose. Do we choose Israel? Do we choose our border security here at home? Or do we choose Ukraine? Because according to experts, we cannot do all three of those things. Really? We can potentially do two. This is one of the reasons why lawmakers are tying border security to the Ukraine funding. But in a last-ditch effort to provide additional assistance to Gaza and to Israel, we are seeing lawmakers try to attach that additional $14.3 billion from Israel to Ukraine aid, and then that bill will be attached to the border security. That's what's happening at this time. Now, I want to read you something, because this is why some are saying that there's an even greater cause for concern, and this is why the United States must choose and act immediately. It says right here, Gaza's health ministry reported 350 people lost their lives on Thursday, bringing the death toll from Israel's 2-month campaign in Gaza to more than 17,170 people. And thousands more are missing or are presumed buried under the rubble. Okay? Now, the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, he had this to say. He says, as we stand here almost a week into this campaign into the South, it remains imperative that Israel put a premium on civilian protection. And there does remain a gap between the intent to protect civilians and the actual results that we're seeing on the ground. Fear, hunger, and cold. This is a big problem. This is why many lawmakers here in the United States and people that are protesting are urging President Biden to step up and to do something. Well, is President Biden going to be the answer? Well, Politico, just this morning, they put this out. It says, Biden the closer. Senate GOP urges President to clinch Ukraine border deal. Now, can he do it? Well, that's what's going to be, we're going to find out. It's yet to be seen. Well, this is what Senator Lindsey Graham had to say. It's his job to fix this. And then it says, Senate negotiators don't matter if he's not on board. He's the commander-in-chief. I think we're wasting our time. So what does this mean? Well, the biggest issue right now is we're trying to pass funding for Israel, funding for Ukraine, and border protection. The Republican Party is going to the negotiators, the Democratic negotiators. That's who they're trying to deal with in the Senate. Well, just because the Senate says yes, we would pass that, doesn't mean it would pass in the House of Representatives, and doesn't mean it would pass President Biden. He can veto the entire bill. That is what is concerning, is that the House of Representatives and the Senate are operating separately. In past negotiations, we have seen a Senate negotiator and a Democratic negotiator, or we've seen the Speaker of the House, as long as the majority whip and the minority leader. We've seen the Senate majority leader and the Senate minority leader, so Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. We've seen all these people in a room together negotiating. This hasn't happened. This has not happened. And I want to read you something else, okay? Because one of the issues right now is everybody is trying to push these different bills together. For instance, The Hill wrote an article the other day that says, "Why did Ukraine aid get tangled in border politics?" Well, it's simple. The Republican Party knew if they were going to get the border security, that bill, that reform, they had to attach it to something else. And the reason for that is because it's not going to happen any other way. Look at this. It's from The Hill. It says, House conservatives object to sending Ukraine additional U.S. support without accountability for funds already spent and munitions already shared during Kyiv's war with Russia. Some Republicans seek to leverage Biden's international aid request to call attention to administration policies at the southern border with Mexico. Even if senators were able to hammer out a deal with significant border concessions, such an accord would face a steep climb in the House. Bipartisan immigration proposals have gone nowhere in Congress for decades. So you think about that. We are trying to pass a bipartisan immigration bill. Yeah, how far is that going to go? It's not going to go far. The expectation is that even if the House passes this bill, it's going to go to the House and it would be dead in the House. Keep in mind, the Republican Party in the House of Representatives does not have a huge majority. Okay? We have a handful of votes that can be flipped until we see that the Republicans lose that vote. All right? So, here's where things are at now. Now lawmakers are discussing placing conditions on the billions of dollars being sent to Israel and potentially Ukraine. They're going to add conditions. I don't know what these conditions will be. They're still negotiating them as of early this morning, or actually as of yesterday. So the reports out this morning say that we really haven't gone anywhere. They're trying to discuss which conditions they can place on this funding, but as of right now, nobody knows. Okay? The reason why I wanted to bring all this to your attention is simple. It's a little over a month. Okay, so we're on December 8th today. We have until January 19th to pass a government funding bill. Well, the Congress is going to be out from next week. They'll be in session next week. Then they're going to take about 2 weeks off. So next week they'll take about 2 weeks off. Then they'll come back, 2 to 3 weeks off. They'll come back. They'll be in session the beginning of January. Then they have about, 2 weeks? 3 weeks. Once they get back in session, have 3 weeks to pass a government funding bill to keep the United States government funded so that all these agencies and programs can remain open. So this is why some are saying that this is our final week. If we cannot pass any additional aid to Ukraine and Israel this week, then the likelihood of us passing it in the beginning of January is very slim. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. But again, that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.